5 up there.
Thank you.
Recording. Good evening, good evening. It is 8:04 by my reckoning. So that means it is time for another edition of Real Talk with the Simpson family. I am Ian. This is my lovely wife.
Rachel.
And we are of Big Family Life in the Simpson family home. This is Baby Blue over here. Come into the frame, baby. Oh, there's Darren over there too, yeah. Big Family Life in the Simpson family home, and 4 F's with the Simpson family. And the 4 F's representing faith, family, food, and fitness. Faith, because we believe we can do all things through him who loves us. Family, because aside from God, there's nothing on this earth more important. Food, because food is medicine. And fitness, because we believe overall wellness can be achieved by maintaining a strong mind, soul, and body. Hence the 4 F's. This segment we like to call Real Talk, where we go into some real world issues that we've had to, that we're using the 4S systems to battle, to overcome and manifest our own best lives. Tonight's topic is
Anxiety and PSD.
PSD.
And what it looks like for
PSD?
PTSD. Sorry. Give it a new name.
Yeah.
PSD.
We were just creating.
Sorry, now I'm gonna have giggles.
Yeah.
Just a wide range of emotions right away.
Yeah, quite.
Okay, so you have to. She wants to talk to you real quick.
Okay, come around this side here, baby. Mama.
And so we're gonna look at what it looks like in our home.
Yeah, I mean, you can carry this
Oh,
conversation.
okay. Sorry, no,
sometime.
I can't. You know, I can't do 2 things at once.
Then talk to the camera, please.
Okay. So yeah, and this is something I guess that it's new, not new. However, it is, I guess, been an ongoing mental health issue that I've been dealing with for years now. However, I've just come to more understanding more recently and getting treatment. And it's very interesting because it's been going on since I was probably even young as a child. The separation anxiety of going to visit my dad and having belly aches for a whole weekend and not knowing what it was. Associating it with food, so I would avoid foods, and what else was there? There was, also witnessing. For me, it came from trauma. There's a lot of things that I've witnessed as a child, teen, adult, and even most recently is a lot of, I don't know if I say more recently. I'd say within, up until 6 years ago. I don't even know the time. Hi, Carla.
Hi, Carla. God bless you. Thank you for stopping in.
So I was actually, about 2018, I was diagnosed with anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. And that was a real eye-opener as to what I was experiencing, especially on the inside and not having the language. And I've noticed I say when I'm uncomfortable, or not really uncomfortable, but touching on issues that are I've held near and dear to myself for quite a while. And most recently we found out a lot more because we've been in counseling for a year already.
Yeah.
And it's helped us to understand, helped us to build our foundation in our relationship, because some of the things that we had seen is that what I was going through was having an effect on us. And more understanding as to what I was going through, and then getting on a treatment plan. And I think it's one of the best things that I've done. And I guess this year has brought social anxiety for me, which means I don't do well in crowds. I don't do well going out. It's, even before 2020, anytime I'd be invited out, even by family, I would actually bail. Like you'd have to at least give me a month notice if it was like an event, whatever, for me to actually leave the home. And then by a couple days in, I'd start getting anxious. I would start feeling ill. Like my body just reacts to any situation that has me going out. So we would usually have friends come over because it's a lot easier for me.
It's so interesting, sweetheart. You remember when Dion and Leighton came over? Mm-hmm. That was, 2 summers ago now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where are you going with that?
It was so interesting because, it was a situation where their relationship is very much similar to us in that there seemed without it was just so interesting. I'm not used to being seen. Generally speaking, my wife sees me. She sees me all the time. I'm a very quirky individual, and she sees everything that I do because she's ever observing. That's just her nature. She's constantly watching to ensure that I'm not going to hurt myself. That's a real thing. Anxiety will do that. And so I'm used to her seeing me that thoroughly all the time. And it was just very unusual to have another person see me as well. And I don't, it was just a little surreal. Yeah. And I can't without talking their business. To's like he's lying there absolute dead weight. And he's like, just flopping about. And now she's dragging him
And he's not done crying.
And apparently he didn't want to go. He wanted to hang out with us. That was great. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, and we're getting into so one of my triggers is PTSD. Doorbells. And triggers is doorbells. And so this one thing that happened, and this was around 2017, 2018. Okay. However, the kids were at school. He was at work, and I was at home by myself. I had a day off, and and so when I was home by myself, I knew nobody was coming, and the doorbell rang. And I froze, and I snuck downstairs, and I hid in the basement, and I phoned him, and I was like freaking out. I was like, somebody's here, somebody's ringing the doorbell. And he actually came home from work to get me to come out of the basement. And this all stems from I would say 17 years or 16, I'd say 16 years of domestic violence. There was alcohol and drug abuse by my ex, who would come home and be violent with me. And so doorbells was one of the things that he would do. 2:00 in the morning, ringing the doorbell until I would open the door. So there is that association of doorbell and then being abused because, that fear response. And that was really interesting because it still is a bother today. Like, even though I'm 6-7 years removed from that situation, it still has that deep ingrained response in my body, which is that fear response. So the kids actually know not to ring the doorbell. I know it's odd. However, over time, we are building up to where I can actually hear a doorbell. So even when we have Skip showing up, it's interesting.
Kind of a mad dash to kind of get to the door before the bell is ringing.
So there's always somebody running to the door. However, it's a lot of communication, and being aware now has really helped me, but also helped him to know what's going on and how he could help me, because I was going through this all by myself, and within those 6 years, like, I was always sick, like physically sick, like my body.
Oh,
Same.
Carla, same from knocking. God bless you. Thank you for
It's not.
sharing, Carla. Thank you for sharing.
For me, it's not really knocking because it was always a doorbell.
No, she says she gets the same
No,
type of
she's
response.
asking a question. Same with
Oh,
knocking.
oh, oh, I'm sorry. I totally didn't. Sorry. I'm going to shut up now.
So it was saying, like, it wasn't, it was always the doorbells, but it was also noises at night. And to this day, like, if I've actually been triggered, I will wake up to every little noise. Usually I sleep like a rock. If I'm really in a good mind space, I'm feeling safe, I'm feeling at ease. However, when I'm triggered, if there is, for instance, I don't know if I want to say, but his ex was, I caught her like on video circling our home. And so for like the week after, I was up and down all night, pacing the house front to the back, checking all the windows, checking the doors, making sure they were locked, and I just cannot sleep. Even though I don't have a fear of her, however, she has instilled fear by creating a relationship with my ex and becoming friends with him, and stirring the pot kind of thing. And so that has so she's associated in that regards.
Carla said, my heart goes out to you. Rachel, thank you, Carla. God bless you for that.
And so this thank you, Carla. It's been a journey. It's been quite the life experiences that I've had to deal with, and I'm still dealing with it, and it's still hard for me to even speak. However, through therapy and talking it through, and also sharing what I've been through, so that other people are aware of what actually happens, but also not make the same mistakes I did.
Not
mistakes.
No, yeah.
No, don't
No.
just let it
Yeah, all right, baby.
Because it's...
Yeah,
there's
you did the best that you could. I mean, your efforts were, I mean, no, my love.
I know.
I just, yeah.
And that's the anxiety piece. It's funny how all of this ties into your mental well-being, also affects your physical, also affects your spiritual. It affects every part of your body.
Absolutely.
So all my responses are different. It's connecting to what smell can trigger what feeling, and what's your response. For me, I am a pacer.
A cleaner.
I actually clean really good when I'm anxious, and that's when something is really wrong, because I'll like go top to bottom of, like I did the kitchen the other day.
I'd be like I mean, and it's not like she doesn't clean. Don't get it twisted. Mm-hmm. It's like I'll be like sitting here doing what I do, whatever, and she'll be cleaning something, and she does that. She cleans, right? However, like a half hour later, she's still cleaning. 45 minutes later, she's still cleaning, and it's like, babe, yeah, babe, we good? So I'm working through it, babe, and I've learned to just give her the space and allow her to work through it, and that was a journey for me, because I'm a fixer by nature. By nature, anytime any little thing goes wrong, I want to jump up and take my hammer and fix it. Let me say that again. Anytime any little thing go wrong, I want to jump up and take my hammer and fix it. Now, a hammer is a very useful tool. Except that sometimes you might need a screwdriver or a socket wrench or even a saw. And if all you have is a hammer, you can potentially do more harm than good, no matter what your intentions. I really said all that, I guess, to say that it's important to ensure that your toolbox is well stocked. And really, that healing journey can be just as maybe oversimplified as saying that, you're learning new tools to deal with old situations, right? And as far as it goes in trauma counseling and addiction counseling, they say that when drugs are involved, right, certain pathways are formed in the brain, that certain responses are hardwired into your consciousness and into your psyche. I imagine that it's much the same with DV, right, as you were speaking on that, just right. And so the idea then becomes to rewire those pathways and create new responses intentionally. It requires work, though. I'm not acting like this has been easy.
And it is rewiring, and that's basically what I've been told, is that I'm rewiring my responses to situations. Even though I'm in a safe place, there's still my body's response to any kind of confrontation. Like I do not deal well with confrontation, especially between an individual and myself. However, it's kind of weird because when it involves my husband and children, I go into that mama bear, which is, but when it comes to myself, I turtle, and that's what I respond to any kind of, that there's an actual threat to my safety. One of the
You're fine. Rather come tiptoeing down the
one of the I guess it's like, I want to say it's like a fear response. Because domestic violence is not only bruises and, physically being hurt. The other part that does a lot more impact is the manipulation, the narcissistic person that, turns situations around on you. I use a lot of the catch-22, which I really dislike. And so that's where you're given a choice. Okay, you can do this. However, there's a consequence here, or if you say no, there's a consequence. And if you say yes, there's a consequence. So I had to pick what I felt was the lesser of two evils. And it was up to me what I was going to choose, the fate, and where I was willing to go or take whatever the consequence. And they were never the positive for either of the decisions I would make. So the I want to say mental slavery, because that's basically what it was. I was, within those 16 years, like I didn't know anything about healthy relationships. I was 16 when we started dating, 18 when I moved in, and then we separated, divorced when I was 31, I think. I'm so bad with, I usually know his dates, but it's like when it comes to myself, I don't apply it. So, there was a real time span. So, being a teen to being my whole 20s in a relationship that was very unhealthy. And it affected my appearance. It affected my health. It affected probably every aspect of my being. I shared with him, part of the stuff that I had to go through was actually changing my appearance. And I wore a lot of baggy clothes. So tracksuits were my go-to. It was my safety. One, because I did not want to be seen, and I was not to be seen. Because there was consequences. I actually held a full-time job, and you're supposed to be in a position in the public. However, There was nothing that looked professional about myself. And that really hurt my self-esteem, my confidence. Because, going to work in a track pants with a hoodie, winter, and in plus 30 weather. It was really hard. And one of the things he never talked about with me is until I let him in on my little bit of, no, I wasn't pulling you back, is I actually had a thing with even brushing my teeth. I was so afraid to brush my teeth because I was told when I used to brush my teeth, there was always, who are you going to see? Who are you going to be kissing? It was used as a way to slowly break me down. And it did. And I'm still dealing with the aftermath with that because, I didn't take care of what I should have. However, I was in a position where I couldn't even look after myself as much as I wanted to. And for him, he never questioned me on it. And then when I finally let him into my what was actually going through my mind, like I had to, I don't know how to. You want to just jump in with that? We had that conversation.
What's up, baby?
Where are you?
I'm just, I'm good.
Okay.
What do you,
I need you to stay with me.
all right, baby.
I need you to stay
All right,
because
I got you, baby. I got you.
So
I got you.
yeah, it was for me to actually openly tell him why I, struggled with brushing my teeth because there was actually a fear response to it. So for him to have understanding and not actually use it as a way of, oh, you should have been, no, I don't know how to explain it.
Carla said, praise be, you survived the tyranny. God is so good, and I mean, that's at the heart of everything that we do. This is just lived life experience.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get out the way.
Yeah. And so he's been a godsend. Well, he has been a godsend.
God brought us together, yeah. I mean, we God people. No apologies, we're God people.
So all the things that I've been through is really hard when you have an anxiety because even though he hasn't done anything to me yet, in my mind, he's either done it or he's going to do it. And it takes a lot of communication to say that this is what I've been through, this is what I've experienced, and in the end, we've always seemed to work it out because, yes, it may be in my head, however, I need to put voice to it and not project it onto him. An example of that, we were in Costco over a year ago, and he was actually going to he was paying for the groceries, and I went to go line up at their little food court thing. And so I'm standing in line, and this guy was beside me, and he starts talking to me. And he's talking, and he's just asking questions about, like, the food and all that. And I could just feel my face going hot. I started sweating, and then I got my food, and I went and stood by him, and I'm, like, just almost in complete panic. And he's like, what's wrong? And yeah, that was really hard for me to explain to him. Like, I was actually afraid to talk to this guy. Even though it was a human interaction, I had this initial fear response that, oh no, I'm talking to somebody I shouldn't be. And so when I was able to explain to him, like, that was an actual prior thing in the past relationship, that anytime I was seen talking to another male, then that there was a consequence for that.
Baby, I got you, baby. Oh, so, hey, what's happening? Oh, it's that time. Okay. Justice first, as always. I mean, this guy is punctual. Hey, CJ, thanks for stopping in. God bless you. This guy is very serious about his bedtime and his schedule. His schedule is everything to him. So it's bedtime, so he's either early or right on time. He's not ever going to be late, and I think that's a very admirable character trait.
Good.
He's also a great hugger. And that's so interesting because there was a time not too long ago when he didn't like to be touched. And he would openly say he's not really big into hugging. And that's something that he worked on with Mrs. Groot at Tyndall Park. And we're very grateful to Mrs. Groot for her working with him, her contribution to that. And I mean, Mom here, she's just like, nah, that's not gonna work for me. Come here. She's like a baby whisperer over here, a child whisperer. She's yeah, best person I know, strongest person I know. It's so interesting because when love you.
Baby.
When I look at my own personal trauma, I have to go to a place where, and you can't quantify or compare trauma. You can't, because what could be debilitating to me, another person would walk through, and what I might walk through might be this. So, I mean, it's also personal. However, all that she's overcome, so strong. So strong. The force is very strong with this one. God is very strong. The Creator is very strong in her. And I'm so very proud of her. And it's not for me to be proud of her. It really isn't. I just, I'm just so proud to know her, to be a part of her journey, to help in any small way that I can. Get out the way.
No, and I'm just kind of just buying time here because it's munchkins are moving around here, and I really don't like having. We're open about what I'm going through with them. However, they don't know really the reasons why.
These are
or they know some of them know the reasons, but.
Sorry, my love.
So I guess.
I think I have it here. The thing is that you're sitting right against the wall, and I'm sitting forward.
I know, well, it's comfortable this way.
Okay, so I'll sit back too.
Okay.
There we
well,
are.
Watch your guns here. There.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, and a lot of the anxiety I can cope with, some. However, it was explained to him because there's some understanding. I deal with my anxiety a little bit different, and he deals with his different. We have different signs, different things that our body does. For me, anxiety is I shake my legs, like it's almost like restless legs. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm always constantly like vibrating my legs. My heart rate goes up if I'm anxious. My resting heart rate is usually about 120, so it feels like sometimes my heart is just gonna explode. Heart palpitations. I get migraines, and then there's also the fire, which I refer to. It's like in the belly. Those ones are the most painful. I was actually dealing with one yesterday. And it's just an ongoing thing from that, last Wednesday. I think last Wednesday. So I've been just kind of going through this anxiety when it was elevated for the last couple of days. And then yesterday it was to the point of fire. When it becomes to a point of fire in the belly, I start hyperventilating. It's a hard time breathing. And I actually feel like I'm physically dying. And I was actually able to relay to him, because he comes in the room and I'm in this pose on the floor, kind of in a fetal position, just trying to regulate my my breathing. And at that point he was like, okay, what's going on? and I was able to tell him like I'm not overwhelmed, but these feelings are overwhelming, and this is what my body is feeling like. And he was actually just gonna go do something, and he stopped and put everything else aside and sat with me on the floor and just allowed me to cry and feel it. And he didn't try and solve it or try to fix it. It was just to be with me in that moment. So those are the ways that we can work through a lot of our my anxiety. And it's easier when somebody is there with you going through. Oh, what is she?
I love you from baby to you. And this is it. See? That's for me. And know that that's for me. That's
And Mom.
no, that's for me. What you talking about? That's for me because you came and so you can write a new message on us on there for us every day.
It's smudging.
That's okay. It's perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right.
It's a homemade whiteboard. I don't know how she made it blurry.
Oh, it'll adjust. It's fine.
Okay.
There's too much going on in the frame. It'll adjust.
There you go.
Love you. Good night.
Okay, good night.
Hey Eric, thanks for stopping in, man. God bless you.
Mm-hmm. I love you.
Love you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. What you got there? Okay, careful. No, yeah, down, yeah, no.
Down.
Toodles. Good night. No, yeah, no. Yeah, no. Good night. Hey, you know what? I heard this rumor that the water in the bathroom is just as safe to drink. Yeah, as the one in the tap in the kitchen. Yeah, as long as you're not drinking it out the toilet bowl. Yeah, you're fine. I wonder. Oh, Doris. Oh my goodness, Sister Doris, how are you? God bless you. Thank you for stopping in. I wonder what that baby. Quickly get some your water out of the tap, please. Quickly. I wonder what that's all about. I mean, just very quickly on a brief aside. I wonder what it's all about because I'm pretty sure that's like the same water going to your bathroom tap as your kitchen tap. I'm pretty sure that they're not like somehow the plumbing is recycling the bath water and the toilet water into the sink so that you can't drink it. I'm pretty sure it's safe to drink. However, there appears to be this stigma around drinking water out of the bathroom. Would you agree with that, Jordan?
Yeah, word. I'm perfectly fine with drinking out the bathroom, but like, I don't know. Apparently, people think
It's a thing, right?
yeah, right.
But you do it at a hotel.
You do?
No, you aren't there cups in that? Like you would do it at a hotel?
Where are you staying at? I'm just kidding.
Sorry. Oh boy. Oh.
I'm just
He's
kidding.
been on a roll, and it's so
just
funny
on
because like I used to be so overly sensitive, and like I can laugh at myself.
It's so important. It's good medicine.
I can laugh at myself. I just can't be the brunt of the joke anymore. Really, I've actually made that a conscious. Like if you're gonna make jokes, just don't make me the joke.
That's right.
Years of going through that. Sorry, baby, I've got to.
Yeah.
But
Guilty pleasure time. Here we go.
I know.
Here we go. Here it is.
Ginger
Here
ale.
it is. Ginger ale. She's gotta have it. Yeah. Yeah. She's a huge fan. It's yeah.
And it's a flavored one.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Don't be sorry. Why are you sorry?
And yeah.
Go ahead, baby.
Where am I going? The funny thing for me is like I cannot multitask. I used to think I was really good at multitasking. However, I'm not. I'm
Like we're talking walking and chewing gum level
Yeah.
difficulty, right? Like, I mean, I've never actually asked her to rub her tummy and pat her head at the same time because I'm not about putting the people I love in positions to fail.
And that is true because he's like constantly, okay, watch out for this, and then he'll be like, "There's ice here," and then I go find the ice. I'm really
Can
good
I
at
tell
that.
her the scooter story? Can I tell her?
Oh,
this?
go ahead. Yeah.
So, and I feel, I feel horrible about it because we were riding scooters around the neighborhood 2 summers ago. And we have 2 bigger scooters that her and I can fit on. It's so interesting. They were at a free in the neighborhood our first summer here. It was a free garage sale Sunday, and they were sitting at the end of somebody's, and we were walking by as a family, and we're like, oh, thank you, Father. And they said free, and I mean, yeah, so yeah, we still have them. That was like 2 years ago. And the home that we got them at, the next summer, I saw a younger, I think Asian or Filipino family, and I thanked them, and then they said, yeah, we still ride them. They're great. Excuse me. So her and I were going for a scoot around the neighborhood, and it was a beautiful summer day.
We had the kids.
Uh-huh. And so I went up on the sidewalk, and we were coming, and then I came down somebody's driveway, and then I didn't jump because I had the bad hip at the time. But, however, and it was kind of a big daredevil move for me because, again, I had the bad hip at the time, and I just kind of rolled off the little lip that, your driveway to the road, and I just kind of went tutump, and tutump, right? And I braced myself, and I didn't, and this is why I am very cautious because this is the time that I didn't do it. I didn't look back and say to her, babe, watch out for the lip. And
Yeah, I wiped out pretty bad.
she took a bad tumble.
And it so happened that there was this guy in his
2 guys.
2 guys
Yeah.
at their vehicle, and they
Yeah.
witnessed my whole accident, and
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the ground laughing but in pain, and then you were like, what are you guys laughing at to those guys?
And I'm pretty sure, you know what? God bless them. God bless them. I'm pretty sure they were only laughing in response to her laughing. Right? However, I'm like, what's funny? Like, and yeah. And then there's the time in JISC. Oh, that was his phone vibrating. I thought that he actually sat at the other end of the table and let go. I'm like, really, dude? There was a time in JISC, and Jordan is at the end of the table grabbing secondsies. He's having second supper. He's a hobbit. I don't know where he puts it, but whatever. He says second supper, and he'll come up and have a third supper before bed too. So we were at JISC, and we were just messing around, and he and I just had the same idea, and there were pillows involved and a big collision and in beds, and then she wanted to sit on this wicker chair, and the chair was
wicker. It was a cushion that looked like an
it
ottoman.
was wicker. It looked like a wicker chair. It was like this, right? So it looked like it had substance. However, unfortunately, as she sat down, she found out to her dismay that it did not. And she literally tumbled head and bum over heels in the middle of JISC. And I went down, and I are you okay, baby? And she's just laughing, and she just was absolutely radiant, and she's just laughing and flushed and red. And in the midst of it, she's like, okay, let's go home now. And I was like, okay, baby, let's get you out of here. So yeah, she's wonderfully klutzy.
Yeah,
She is.
that's the best way
She's
to put it.
wonderfully klutzy, and I mean, oh yeah, it's. Although the one time she took a tumble down, I don't care for these stairs. The run is too steep. I don't care for them. And the first, when we moved in, we spent a lot of time in the basement because it's what we were used to. It's lovely down there. And, the other place, we were in the basement all the time. And that was kind of our suite, and the kids were upstairs. And so we were spending time in the basement. And she took a tumble down those stairs. And she came down her bum. Don't laugh. And
No,
don't
I'm just
laugh.
laughing because I saved my A&W drink.
Okay, that's funny. and she came down on her bum, and I just remember how I felt in that moment, and I just was
Yeah, I wasn't allowed downstairs for like months, and it's still a
we
thing.
don't much go down there no more.
And it's just interesting how
You see what my anxiety looks like. That's what my anxiety looks like, and that just came on out of nowhere, and I actually was in that moment again, full-fledged. Yeah.
and that's yeah, anything that has to do with the kids or myself, he's as long as I'm not in danger, he's fine. However, if there's any threat to me, then it actually has a physical response to him. So now that the littles are out and doing their thing, not doing their thing, they're going to bed.
They're partying with the unicorns and rainbows.
Yeah. This is a really hard subject for me to talk about. There's so much that I could talk about or speak to. However, this trauma that I've experienced, I'm putting in the work to do something about it. I'm not allowing it to run my day, run my week, run my month, basically. By acknowledging it and doing something about it is very hard.
That's the work.
Like, I'm in counseling once a week, and it's not just an hour, it's actually close to almost 2 hours.
Yeah, she makes time
And
for us.
I actually am so physically drained that sometimes I even have to have a nap. I have my weighted blanket, and he gets me my blanket, and then I'm in bed, and it's just like recharging my battery.
Highly recommend those, by the way. Highly recommend those weighted blankets. I thought that I didn't think I would. I thought you would overheat. To me, it just didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you don't get hot. Because I overheat under a regular blanket. Some nights, I just purge my I mean literally I go through, like 2 sets of pajamas, 3 sets of pajamas, and then we have to times change the sheets. I just. I don't have any. I don't even know what it is. It doesn't happen often. However, it does happen from time to time, and I think it usually ties in with when I'm trying to reconcile something within my soul, within my spirit. I think it might tie into sometimes that when I'm trying to reconcile something. We love you too, Doris. When I'm trying to reconcile something in my spirit, and maybe that has to do with some form of discernment. I don't know, but it's like yeah.
So it's
The weighted blankets are great.
yeah.
Highly
We
recommend them.
we bought one for Jasmine as well, and she loves it. Like, that is her go-to. That's her.
She uses it every night.
Yeah, she uses it, and then she has Bentley. So those
Yeah.
are her and her therapist. So with her anxiety, she's been.
I met her therapist the other day, completely by accident. I met her. She goes through Zoom as well, and I just happened to knock on her door, and I met her therapist completely by accident. It was just such a wonderful. I love her therapist's energy. She's wonderful, and that's her own thing. That's Jasmine and Shauna, right? Yeah, Shauna.
Yeah.
Shauna. That's her own thing, and I just love the energy that she gives off. Sorry, sweetheart.
No, and so for us, it's like a family. Well, basically, the 3 of us, going on 4 of us now. Justice will be starting to see his. Is that we're doing something we're actually actively involved in getting help and
That's right.
healing. Basically, I'm just gonna say it's healing
That's all it
because
is.
that's what it is. And the healing piece is really, really hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. There's days where I could be sitting there and even watching a movie. Like I have to watch movies that I actually know because I know how it's gonna end. I know what's gonna happen. I already know because for me, anything to do with violence, anything to do with women being hurt, I actually physically respond to that and I won't sleep. There's also, what else can there? There's it's so hard to explain sometimes, but when I'm healing, it's like opening a suitcase, and sometimes you don't even know what's in that suitcase. There's memories that pop in that I've tucked away, and because when you're been voiceless for so long and you have nobody to speak to, because the people you did speak to and said, hey, this is what's happening to me, nobody stood up for you. One example is that people within authority, I really have a hard time trusting people in authority, because I've went to people that were supposed to help you turn me away, and or else laugh in my face. I've had police officers when I told them that items were taken from my home that were intimate items, and they just laughed about it. And so when you go to court and you say, hey, this is what happened, and they say, well, where's your police report? Well, the police just laughed at me. So how do you deal with stuff like that when you're trying to heal from your trauma and then these are popping up? Those are something that I struggle with quite a bit, and recently it's been really bothering me because the people that were supposed to protect me didn't. When I was sexually assaulted and you're telling adults that this happened and it was their son that did it, and they don't do anything, or their family members, because when you're isolated in a domestic violent relationship, nobody's there to protect you. I was not protected because I had nobody of my own family surrounding me to support me. I had to rely on a different family group that didn't support me at all. Everything that had happened to me was like, hush, don't say anything. And if I was to even go to them and say, hey, can you give me a letter that you witnessed this abuse, is that going to happen? No. Oh, that's no. So those are the things that I'm going through. And so by going to therapy, I'm able to deal with it. I know it's not going to be a quick answer. It's not going to be, oh, you're going to be fixed overnight. This journey is going to be either lifelong, because some things that are happening, like, I don't know what's going to trigger me some days. I know I don't like the smell of beer. Beer is actually a really strong trigger smell for me. I know that for sure.
I'm here, baby. I'm here. Just giving you space, baby. I mean, you say
No,
as
and I
much
need
as
you
a
to
little-
speak right now.
All right. All right. And so, and that's the work, right? And so, and I mean, maybe the thing is, and the idea is not that, therapy and so on and so forth, there's so much stigma that's often associated with doing that type of work, that form of self-help. There's a great deal of stigma that's associated with that for whatever reason. And also, there's also, the idea that something like that is quite costly, right? And I'm sure that it can be. However, in our situation, in our circumstance, there where we are here in the city in Winnipeg, there are facilities available to you that work on a sliding scale, that will, accommodate low income. Or if you have no income, there are one such emergency facility is the Clinic with a K, KLINIC, and they're at Portage and Arlington here in the city. And I mean, they've been there for years. I started using those services when I was in my, I think the first. Carla is asking, can you face him being her abuser, if you cross paths again? Now that is a very real, and here is, and I'm gonna give my wife a couple more minutes to center. Here is the very real tragedy in all of this is that the custody arrangement that they were in, may I? The custody arrangement that they were engaged in required that she drive 2 hours out of town to hand off the kids in the middle of a small town to her former abusers. And you want to talk about anxiety. And I mean, it really, once I came into the situation now and we became engaged and so on and so forth, the situation escalated to the point where I no longer felt safe sending her by herself. So, and I knew I couldn't go because I couldn't risk that confrontation happening. And so I sent Noah.
And then Noah was accosted the once because they were asking for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the tragedy of the, what do we call that?
The court system.
Yeah, that's, I mean, where's the justice in that? Yeah.
And for me, it's and that's where I have a hard time is
Can
that
you take a second
yeah, I'm
to
going
answer?
to.
Yeah.
No, and that's where I'm going with this is that because when you separate from somebody that is your abuser, even though, okay, so we separated, and within those 17 years, I never charged him once with the abuse. Everybody knew it was going on. Everybody, seen the bruises. Everybody witnessed his behavior because you, basically, if you see somebody go from their cheerful self to silent type as soon as he walked in the room, you got to know there's no ifs, ands, or buts when somebody's personality changes when somebody walks into a room. So after we separated, that is when I actually charged him, because he came to the home.
Your new home.
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It was actually it was the home because he moved out of the home,
Okay.
and that's how the relationship ended. He was high on whatever and said he was leaving, and I was like, okay, good, go do what you want to do. He moved out. I changed the locks, and so being home with the kids, and then him coming in and tossing me around and choking me. I finally stood up, and I had somebody that was not from the community actually help me go through the process of finally charging him, because before when I was in the situation, it was always, if I see those red and blue lights, you better watch out, which means there was something going to happen to me, and so I wouldn't charge him until after. And even though there was that fear response, you're still stuck in that mental slavery, which means that I have a very, my nature is to always be kind. Even though if somebody was unkind to me, I would always try and be kind to those people. And I was also just afraid. I was very afraid. And now, I would kind of just grin and bear it and just do what I had to do. And then now that I know that I have a choice, I actually have a voice, and I can say, no, I can't take that anymore. And to come face to face with him is not something I can even do right now, because I actually physically get sick where either I'm going to pass out or I have to be in the washroom. And I don't know how that would be. I don't know if I could do it. However, I really want to be able to stand up for myself and say, hey, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to allow this to happen anymore.
And I mean, and that's probably the hardest part of the work, right? That's, I would say, is the, making that step, that transition from victim to survivor, right? And right, exactly, Carla. And that's that Carla said is in your own time, and that's exactly right. And I would add this. Whatever, I don't know your journey, however, whatever it is that you are going through, allow yourself to grieve, and don't allow others to quantify that grief for you or tell you what is appropriate. That's very personal. That's between you and God. And I think that the passing of my mother affected me so greatly, not only because I was so very young, is that I didn't ever really grieve that. Maybe I was too young to know what grieving actually was supposed to look like. Oh, Trisha, God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for joining us. Trisha says, it's sickening how someone can be so abusive and mentally manipulative to
And that is a really
to
true.
someone they say they love. I'm sorry.
And that is so. That's what I struggled with, because I've been treated inhumanely. No person should ever be treated how I was. And one of the stories I shared with him, and he was quite shocked that I had gone through it, is that he had come home. The ex had.
Baby, go downstairs, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that I was actually so he had come home. The ex had come home. He was intoxicated, so intoxicated that he relieved himself on the bedroom floor in a corner. And being who I am, I got up and he passes out, and I go clean it up. And I was pregnant with one of the children, and so I'm cleaning it up, and this is like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, getting fresh water, cleaning the floor. And then I actually just left the mop water, with everything, and I just put it to the side, and I went and slept in another room. And so when he had woken up, he had not seen me, sleeping there. So he came into the room, and he was still intoxicated because it was still whatever, right? And he poured that water on me on my daughter's bed. And so being pregnant and trying to clean up his mess, and I was just treated like an animal. And even no animal should ever be treated like that. However, that was one of the lowest of the lows. That was very hard. And I still struggle with that, because there's, you're as a mother, you're supposed to be honored because you're carrying life within you. And for me, that is one of the most sacred things. And to be disrespected like that, carrying, to be your child, and you're treated inhumanely, was very hard to go through. And I can talk about it now because I was able to talk to him about it and not feel shame, not feel judgment, because that wasn't my fault. That wasn't my fault at all. And that's the thing. They say they love you. However, they don't really show it. Because to them, love has a cost. And for me, it was my soul at that point. You know, you're feeding into their, you're giving them all your energy, and they're just sucking you just dry. And I'm not there. I'm not there anymore. And you know, I thank God for that, because I'm in a place where I'm healing and I'm loved. I'm really truly loved. And it's safe to actually share with him. And the one thing that I've noticed, and he's really working hard on, is that when I share with him, he can't help but feel for me. And
I mean, I'm a human fucking being. I'm sorry.
sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it's,
No,
you know,
I mean,
he's just.
no, it's fine. Yeah, that's terrible, Trish. It's just, it's fucking inhumane. Excuse me. Sorry, baby.
Mm-hmm. You're good, my love.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I'm good. I mean, what? Yeah, of course.
And Trish, that's the sadly, I came from a community, or I was living in a community when this happened. And I had to get out of there.
Trish
Because
said they are sick and can bring you down with them. You got to get away.
I did have to get away, and that's where I'm at, because I left with 6 children.
That's right.
I left with 6 children, and you know, I took what I could, basically the kids' clothes, and not everything that they owned. However, even though we were living in the reserve and I wasn't from there, I was actually the supports weren't there for me, and I actually had to leave.
Sorry, baby.
And it was baby steps. So I moved to a little town outside of outside of the community, and I rented this 3-bedroom home. I didn't even have a bedroom at this point. The kids all had the bedrooms, and I actually had my bed set up in the living room, and lived there for about a year, and then I moved here to Winnipeg.
And what
I know.
baby? No, this is not for you, baby. What baby's responding to is that Carla had asked, how were you able to cut ties with him, and how did you know enough was too much? Well said. Enough was too much. And then Trisha said, good for you to break away. Go ahead, baby. Let me get. And very briefly, let me just jump in real quick. It's so weird because right around this time that she moved to this small town, where was that there again, baby? Foxhorn. I was working out in Saskatchewan, believe it or not. And I was driving back and forth, you know, once a week, every 10 days, between Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. And I would pass through Foxhorn. And there was a little motel there. Every once in a while, I would pull in there, and I would catch a nap there every once in a while if it was a particularly long week, whatever. And I mean, there were times where, I mean, quite possibly her and the kids could have walked by and seen me in my little car sleeping at that little motel. Get out the way.
Yeah, and so it was steps to get away. When I got to Winnipeg, I was finally able to start rebuilding, getting the kids what they needed, and adjusting them to basically culture shock, coming from a community and then you're in a city. So I had to teach them street rules, you know, look both ways, because there was no such thing as looking both ways. You're running down the dirt road before. You know, a little bit more freedom. Mm-hmm. The thing with cutting ties is that it was actually on his own accord. He was the one that said it was enough. But for me, and what I had said previously, is that over time you kind of just emotionally leave the relationship. When Callie Blue was, well, she's not coming on 9.
That's right.
So when she was born, yeah, that would have been almost going on 9 years. So when she was born, he was actually drunk at the hospital while I was in labor. And the doctor said to me, you have 6 kids, you're going to get your tubes tied, this and that. And I was so pissed because, laying in the room, and I'm in full on labor, and the doctor's asking me, are you going to get your tubes tied? And he's there intoxicated, and I'm trying to get him out of the room because 1, I don't need eyes on me, and 2, I was embarrassed and pissed off. And so I was like, okay, I'm getting my tubes tied. That was a straight, yep, I'm done. I'm not going to. And so eventually, over time, it took me a year. I started saving money, stashing money in books and, places that they couldn't be found. And so I built my little egg so that when I left, I had something for the kids. And I'm glad I did it. And I'm not going to say I wish I could have or would have, this and that. It had happened when it happened. I did leave when I could. You have those aha moments when it's going to, make it so much easier for you to leave. And I was, so many times I could have left. However, being, I always wanted this, no matter even how bad things were. I didn't want my children to have, to come from a broken home. I tried to make things work. However, now with more information that I have, that it was actually doing more damage to them by staying in that relationship.
Carla said, wow. Yeah, Carla, I mean, that's really how I feel about my wife too. That this is so very important, not only because it's a part of her healing journey. However, speaking from a position of a man who can not have any real understanding of what a woman goes through in anything. I'm just a man. I can't have any really understanding of what a woman goes through in anything. I can maybe empathize with certain situations that we might share. However, I just feel that story is just so empowering, and that it can be so helpful to so many that may be in a similar circumstance. Yeah, right? Right, Carla? Right? Thank you for sharing, yeah. I mean, it's just such a powerful testimony. Just, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah. And it'll probably be, Real Talk will continue for, we go Monday to Friday. However, it'll be a few days possibly before we have my lovely wife's company again, because I know this was not easy for her, and the courage and strength required. And I tell you, I admire my wife. Obviously I love her to death, but she's the best person I know. Let me tell you, just the strongest. Let me tell you. And where do I draw my earthly strength? Why do I do what? Because she loves me, and I know this. I know she loves me, and so it becomes incumbent upon me to be worthy of her. That's just kind of person I am, you know. It's just how I'm wired, man. I'm different, and I've been different from time, and I've fought that my entire life. And I've come to a place where I realize that, you know, that was just God setting me apart. And I'm okay with it. For the first time in my life, possibly, I'm just so okay with God having set me apart. There's a great much in this world that I don't agree with, but it's okay because I'm convinced, I'm committed to the idea of my right to swing my arm ends at your person. And at times, that feeling is not reciprocated towards me and my family, and that's okay too, because God has still created a safe haven and a safe shelter for us to exist within His love, within His grace. And as long as God is still God, as long as He still sits on His throne, then you know the Simpson family will be all right. Thank you for your prayers. And we would share this gift with you. It requires surrender. It does. It does require surrender. It does require surrender to God. For me, though, that's easy because my personal journey is such that I couldn't do it anymore. Just too much disappointment, too much heartache, too much everything. So I say, yeah, this is you. I've had enough. I no longer, I don't want to do this anymore. And that was a conversation me and God actually had. We've had that conversation several times. And this time it was like, yeah. And it's not, by no means is it a somber or a sad tale. I mean, there's a new name written in glory, and it's mine. Oh yes, it's mine. That's a worship song we sing it, and yeah. Pain is brother Danielle, it's been a while. Blessings. Thank you for rejoining us. And I mean, yeah, pain is essential for growth. True story. And that is right there in a nutshell. When you ask, and we have people in this world whom are skeptical, and that's fine. It's it's your own journey. And people would ask, if God were real and God is good, then why do bad things happen to good people? There's your answer. Because pain is essential for growth. Carla asking, Rachel, do you feel relief for sharing your stories?
And this is like one of the very first times even openly sharing, just the surface of it. It feels a little bit lighter. However, I still have that fear response because it's so ingrained. It's ingrained, and I'm working towards, releasing myself of that fear. One of the sayings that we've been using, and it's a repetition of reminding myself, and he's been saying, let go and let God. And so by even just letting go verbally is, letting God take over and, do what He's got to do. Because the longer I hold it in, I'm not looking for validation. I'm not looking for pity. I'm not looking for, I'm just trying to show strength, because one of the things that I don't want is my daughter to go through what I had to go through. That is my strength. And by sharing that, I could help maybe even somebody else's daughter.
Oh, sure.
And that would give me a lot more relief. That would, make me, I guess that pain was worth it in that point, because I wouldn't even wish this on another person. One of the things that I had shared with him, that one day I was just sitting outside and I was like, come walking in, and then he was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I was like, I never want to feel that pain ever again. It was in my mind, because I don't want to feel that pain. And I don't even wish that on my worst enemy is that much pain. So by sharing, I am putting words to what I'm feeling, but I'm also relieving myself by sharing and helping another person.
Acts of service.
Yeah.
And releasing ourselves from the pain, the fear, the anguish, the doubt.
And the feeling of holding secrets for somebody else.
Oh,
That is the
huge.
one of the things that I felt I was doing was, sitting in a little corner with my my fear, my pain, and that, and while somebody else was out there just living their best life, which is good. However, shouldn't throw stones at glass houses.
When you people who live in glass
That's how you go.
houses
Thank you,
should
baby.
not throw stones. And do you think that you'll in time be able to reach a place of forgiveness?
I think I will.
Yeah,
I think I will.
because that's so huge.
Because once I forgive, it'll release me of even more.
Facts. Trisha said, yup. True story, Trish. True story. How you feeling, my love?
I'm just doing what and that's what that is, that compassion that he has for me, and that understanding. It's been very helpful. He's very supportive. He's been through. And it's been, it was a learning curve for both of us, because it's like when one person kind of just disappears and you're like, who's this?
It's so interesting. Our story is, there are a great many parallels, if you would, from the masculine and feminine perspective of domestic violence. And now when I say domestic violence, my story is so very interesting, because I was an abuser. And I don't say that to brag or to be proud. It's a simple fact of my story. And I recognize early on, very tough times, thank you, Trish. I recognized very early on that that's not who and what I wanted to be, and that there was a problem with that behavior. Tell me, who would I be without my pain, Daniel? That's why I there's no longer any shame, any guilt, because my testimony has forged me into the man that I am today. And as I've said in a previous video, that I'm actually for the first time, I'm very much at ease with the person that I'm trying to become. I'm learning to love myself. I'm learning to see, to have a great love and appreciation for myself as a human being and a child of God. And I think that that's so very important, because as I learn to love myself better, it better enables me to love the people that are important to me. So I feel that that's so very important. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's no regrets. No regrets. It's made me the soldier for God that I am today. Without my purpose, I'd still be around aimlessly wandering about trying to figure out. I was doing so well in my life, personally, professionally, a few years ago. And, one day I woke up and I was like, because I wasn't doing anything that was meaningful. I wasn't doing anything that was feeding my soul. And I was like, is this it for me? Is this really it for me? And because I asked that question of myself in that moment and not of my God, I was leaning too much on my own understanding. As such, I was doomed to fall. Pain is a part of the physical dimension. Can you not juke the flow of evolution? I'm gonna put that I'm gonna give that some thought, because how my mind works is, now that I've read that, I can compartmentalize it and give it the proper time and attention that it requires. And we'll revisit that the next time you come and visit us on a telecast. I'm going to give that the proper time and attention it requires. Pain is a part of the physical dimension. Can you not juke the flow of evolution? I'm not going to speak on that until I've had some time to give it some thought, because I feel it requires such. How you feeling, my love?
It's already like 20 after.
Yeah, not 20
And I
after
think that-
anything that says that we've
Okay,
been
sorry,
at it
I
for
always-
an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, okay. However, this is something that I think that even though I know I may have went off anxiety and PTSD, but that is part of why I have it and what I'm doing about it. I think there's more to share. There is more to go through, and I didn't realize this was going to be like one of the longer ones.
Yeah. Trish said that teach women about womanizing men. That's an episode we would like to hear about. It's so interesting that you said that, Trish, because in our notes, if I were to go back a couple of weeks, one of the ideas for an episode we were looking at, and let us know if this is in line with what you were thinking, and we'll definitely revisit it. One of the episodes that we were looking at exploring was the idea of meeting people at the bar and so on and so forth. Good night, Daniel. We appreciate you. And as I said, I'll
Can you
give
make
that
a
some
mental
thought.
note of that? For
Which one? For Trish?
No,
Daniel? Yeah, 100%. I'm going to write it down. It's already registered.
Okay.
However, yes. And we'll, good night, Danny. We appreciate you so much. And then the next time you come and see us, I'll have an answer for you on that. Pain is a part of the physical dimension, cannot juke the flow of evolution. I'll have a response to that. And Trish, what you said was teach women about womanizing men. That's an episode we'd like to hear about. And the question I had asked, if I can go back in my notes here. It's right here, right? It should be right here. Here we go. Meeting someone at a bar, and all that entails, right? And if that's something that, if that was in line with what your thought processes were, then we'll continue at that. I mean, because the idea of meeting somebody at the bar, it's so interesting, because I mean, I think that you can meet someone anywhere. We met at a powwow. Who would have thought? I'd never been to one before. It was spectacular, and I met my future wife there. And I think that the idea that you go to a bar specifically to meet somebody, and I would say that's probably not the best place to meet a life mate, which is not to say that it can't happen, which is not to say that people haven't really met at the bar and had really lasting, meaningful relationships. That is a whole other episode.
and so yeah, that would be interesting, womanizing men.
Womanizing men.
Because
Let's talk about hit us up, Trish, and send us a note, DM us a note, and give us let us
Actually, I'll
expand
grab a
on
pen.
that thought a little bit more. Let us know fully what you were thinking. And so we've been at this now tonight for an hour and 26 minutes already. So I think 24 minutes, and I think on that we'll wrap and allow my wife to get some much needed rest. This was just such a powerful episode, and I'm just so very appreciative that she was able to reach in and just share of herself, because I mean, if you have any understanding of trauma, PTSD, anxiety, residual effects of domestic violence, things like this, you'll know that this couldn't have been easy for her, and the sense of retribution is still strong, and payback. So, however, this is a part of the hard work. This is a part of that healing process, that healing journey, to get from being a victim to a survivor, and then lastly to being a champion for your cause and an advocate for women everywhere. Thank you all for tuning in. God bless you, baby. I'm going to get out the way and let you have the last word.
thank you, ladies. And it's really helpful to even ask, for you guys to ask questions, because it is hard to share. It is hard to share. It is also allowing me to even grow even further, just by looking at myself and, can I really meet up with that person, and can I forgive that person? However, ladies, thank you. And we'll continue talking about it, and
Mm-hmm.
also throw us some ideas of what you want to hear.
Absolutely, please.
Like you can see, it's already, I'm gonna say 1:25,
Yeah.
an hour and 25 minutes.
9:30.
Yeah, it's 9:30, and I could go on.
You
However,
certainly could.
I need a reboot or whatever in between because it's bedtime now. So, ladies,
Need a
we will
recharge.
see you tomorrow.
Yeah. God bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in. We